All right, welcome back. Hope you have your cup of coffee or tea or whatever makes you happy this early morning as we go through the headlines today. Of course, we have Dr. Dan Ekere of the University of Lagos joining us this morning to look at the papers. Good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning. Thank you.
Dr. Ekere.
It's a pleasure.
Now let's
here.
begin with the Punch newspaper. I didn't beg to be VP. I can't leave. I can leave at short notice. Oshibajo is saying that, and he was making this statement in Benue. He went to visit IDP camps, and certainly some bishops and Christian leaders were asking him some very critical questions there.
Yes, I think that the statement clearly, I want to believe that the man never even anticipated it was going to be VP. So I should think that it's something that should be glad about, and should there be any call for him to leave, I
he's
believe
not desperate to
he shouldn't be. But at the same time too, I want to think that he's an asset to this particular government. So any consideration about he leaving or whatever will be a big deficit to this particular government.
Well, you can say that
All
again.
right.
Yeah.
At last, National Assembly passes 9.12 trillion naira budget.
Wow.
After 6 months.
Yeah, finally. But again, it's a good one that at least officially it has been passed. So that act is now in place. But again, how well have our budgets been performing?
Yeah, but although we've not heard from the president whether he's going to have issues with the details or have issues with the increments, because it was 8.6 trillion earlier on. Now it's been jacked up by 500 billion. We don't know what the disposition of the president
The challenge shouldn't be about whether it was jacked up. It's about what is this additional figure going to address? And is this something that ordinarily should have been addressed?
According to the Senate Appropriations Committee, it's going to fix those projects that have been already identified by the committee.
Let me hope that the one of ASU is part of it.
Yeah, we hope so. You know the interesting thing about this budget, all the papers have not given it much attention, really. I mean, it's just a right-hand corner of the Punch.
It's because it has not really, the details have not been given.
Yeah, I guess so. And because it's coming too late in the day, according to some analysts.
Some have even lost interest in it.
Of course.
All right.
And we have Senate's team to meet Buhari over alleged IG's plots to frame Saraki. A Senate president allegation, a ruse, say the police.
And that is it's a shocking one, though it's not strange, but I think it's shocking in the sense that if at that level there is this, fear, suspicion, then you can imagine what the common man will be going through. Because sometimes we hear that innocent persons are just framed or arrested in the name of, a criminal was trying to, resist arrest, running away. The next thing you hear is that the person is shot. So if the Senate president, the number 3 man of the country, could exercise this kind of fear, then the country certainly is not secure for us.
And he doesn't seem to be the first person.
He's certainly not the first. So many have said so.
Somebody actually described it yesterday as denoic.
Honestly,
Poetic license there. It's reminiscent of the Dino
saga. Melayelistic.
And it actually played itself out. Exactly. We began to see all manner of...
okay.
Well.
All right, let me just run through. Ogun proprietor principal tied pupils to crosses for lateness. That certainly will be frowned at by lots of people.
I didn't get that. Tying pupils to...
If you come late, they tie you to a cross.
So you become Jesus or what?
Well,
it's a form of crucifixion?
Well,
I don't think that is real.
In
better than
the state. Well, all right. Alleged fraud. Court remands ex-Plateau Governor Jonah Jang in prison.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Those are some of the.
It's a good one. At least let some of these prominent people experience. I hope it's the same kind of prison that they took others that he placed.
We hear that there are no VIP cells.
That is what we hear. But a number of times they actually spend the detention period in beautifully designed hospitals in the name of.
No, but the point there is Nigerians are even saying in all of this is convictions we want to see.
Yes, but for this these high-profile cases, conviction or no conviction, the first thing is that let them be in detention and see the kind of places they have actually prepared for their own citizens. Let them have an experience.
All right. New Telegraph. IGP plotting to frame me for murder, Saraki. Idris to Senate President will get to the root of Kwara killings. Senators, police withdrawing our orderlies. Youth's protest. Well, Kwara government kicks against transfer of suspects to Abuja. Recall one senator a couple of days back actually opposed government for whatever reason, and his orderlies were...
Yeah, that is the trend. But again, even the issue of moving the suspects from Kwara to Abuja raises a lot of issues, because don't forget the case of, you know, is it Frayo that Keyamo, you know, actually he brought on air sometime over the killing of Bola Ige. And the moment that case was moved to Abuja, the whole situation changed. And I think that was even the end of it. It was part of the reasons that, you know, that case could not be followed to the end. Is it that within Kwara, there is no jurisdiction to deal with the issues?
Well, maybe that's what they're saying. All right, moving on now. National Assembly passes 9.12 trillion naira budget. That's 2018 budget. Pegs oil at 51 barrels per day. Of course, we'll get into more details much later in the show. Nigerians opened 6.5 million bank accounts in 3 months. Interesting. I lost my son, mom, because of Libya's journey. And that's according to a returnee. Court bars EFCC and DSS police from searching Wike's houses. What do you make of this one?
Well, I think they might have their own reasons for that, and certainly Wike's team would have presented an argument that could warrant that.
Yeah, they've been citing,
but again, sometimes too, you find out that all manner of searches have been going on over time. They raided judges' homes and what have you. And in most of these cases, they don't come and you see clearly what they have or not. So what is it impossible for the police to come to your house and drop something and say that we found this there?
Yes,
you know,
it's possible.
So
a lot of people have
a lot of issues.
A
lot of issues. So we need to actually deal with this issue of, you know, some of these unnecessary searches and what have you. If Wike is found culpable, obviously it's not going to be on the seat
many
forever.
times the searches are without search warrant.
You know, it's very unreasonable.
The Nation now says Saraki, IG fight dirty over arrested killer called suspects. And Buhari said, let's rescue Ekiti from PDP. Well, his minister has become the
flag
APC
bearer,
governorship candidate in the state. So, but a lot of people are concerned, saying that there's a lot of federal influence, Abuja influence on the governorship.
Yeah, certainly there is very high influence, but let's wait to see the result. Should there be proper elections, that is, if voting is to be anything, and if the votes are to count, I have my fears if Ekiti can be rescued from, you know, the PDP. Even today, as we speak, I doubt if IME has what it takes to walk around Ekiti freely. But I still want to see that, what's the name, Ayo Fayoshe, even as a sitting governor, still move freely. The man visit people casually and all the rest.
The man seems to have endeared himself to the hearts of the people.
You could see that he has endeared himself to the hearts of the people.
How do you top that?
The stomach infrastructure
are you getting it?
So,
Ekiti is not just going to be about being urbane and one being so, you know, I think that you need to really get to the grassroots.
Well, some analysts believe that, look, all the Fayoshe thing is all, you know, drama and
exactly.
photo ops and what have you.
Yeah, it
that
is.
don't seem to add up to the, you know,
it could be
to the life of the people of Ekiti.
But he won election. He defeated this man while he was a governor. He was defeated by the same eye of Fayoshe with that same photo, whatever you call it. So,
but a lot of people said certainly there was so much. The military was indicted in that election. The police was indicted in that election. So much monies from Abuja flowed into that election. Allegations here and there.
The allegations are still on, even over Fire Miss emergence. You know how, you know, delegates were more or less kidnapped and, you know, all camped somewhere and taken care of. And
all allegations.
You know, allegations will always be
in
there.
In response to Fayoshe, Fayemi has said, look, all this talk about federal might, God's might is mightier than...
Leave the God's might. We know how this game is played. So we are waiting for the result. Whichever way it goes, what is critical to the Ekiti people is good governance. You need to deliver on your mandate. That is the most critical
And the question is, who can deliver? All
right.
right, what else do you have?
Lawmakers raise oil benchmark to $51. We've talked about that. Alleged 4 billion naira fraud. Jang remanded in prison. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
And Omagige back at work as Senate loses bid to stop his resumption at the Senate. That was yesterday. And 3 Nigerians shortlisted for Kin Prize. That's in writing, in literature. That's really interesting. Now, Buhari greets Muslims as Ramadan begins, and it begins today. That's a nice one.
Yeah.
And Federal Executive Council okays $995 million, 15 billion naira for roads across country. And now, one interesting thing here is World Cup. Buhari hosts Super Eagles May 29. This is hosting the Super Eagles before they leave for Russia.
Yes.
But we recall that those who won gold and won silver and won bronze in the Commonwealth Games have not been hosted.
Let's hope that they will be hosted.
Not even a handshake.
But this is a way of inspiring the team. It's a way of motivating the team. On a normal day, having such a meeting with the president should give you some kind of leverage.
Yeah, it's good. But why do we focus so much on football alone? There are so many other
that is a
sports
critical
that
question.
can bring glory and that have been bringing glory to
there are
Nigeria.
quite a number
Most
of
of the
them.
goals we have won, or the medals we have won, come from
other,
athletics and all of those
and
sports.
what do you call them? The
Paralympians
yes.
and what have
They're
you.
proud every year.
Yeah, performing very wonderfully, and yet I doubt if much support is being given to them. But at the same time, football is the ultimate of all the games, as far as we know. So but we need to invest in all the sports in order to take a lot of the youth from the streets, to engage them, and to promote even national unity, to promote the economy. And a lot of things will happen at the time you invest fully in the sports.
Yeah. All right. The last one here: government battling for Leah Sharibu's release. The negotiation, they say, is very complicated. It's very
excruciating.
My worry is, why is this so complicated? Because what Lai Mohammed told us was that the Boko Haram invasion was like what do I call it? Flouting an agreement that they reached. And yet they were able to release every other one. Was it that the keeping back of Leah was part of the agreement? Because if there was an agreement and you say you didn't pay anything, you didn't do anything, you simply told them, but this was our agreement. You say you were not going to do this again, and you did it. I expected that all the girls should have been released. Now, several months thereafter, Leah is still there.
She's still
I
there.
think the government really need to do more to
And she
get
has had to
that lady
celebrate her
released.
15th birthday in abduction. Come to think of it, have we forgotten about the 87 people that were abducted in Kaduna by some bandits?
Yeah,
No, nobody seems to be saying anything about that.
That is not getting
It didn't
It's
fly
not
much.
at all.
Yes.
At all.
Actually, there wasn't so much
I don't know
attention.
if the media is now, cooperating with the government in the area of don't report this kind of...
No, certainly
No,
not.
absolutely
I-
not.
It has
I'm
been
very
a
sure
media
the
that
media
has
will
been
not do
helping
that.
the public.
To keep,
Yes, because without the media, obviously, I suspect that a lot of these governments would have just
Gone
kept
to
so many of
sleep
these
on
things in
this.
abeyance. So I encourage the media to please
All right,
keep these things on the
to
board.
the
Exactly.
Daily Sun, court bars police EFCC from searching Governor Wike's residence. Saraki accuses IGP of frame-up plot, and that's on all the headlines this morning. Of course, finally, NAS passes 9.1 trillion naira 2018 budget. Governors finger NNPC in subsidy payment fraud, call for probe and ban sighting of filling stations near borders. Yeah, we've been hearing from government and indeed the NNPC that Nigerians are now, we're importing about 60 million liters of fuel or using that every day.
And much has equally been earmarked for turnaround maintenance. And when you look at the cost, at the end of the day, both the turnaround maintenance, the production, that is the level of productivity of the various refineries and the rest, you begin to wonder whether it makes economic sense to spend so much, turning around these refineries that will produce less than the value of that amount at the end of it all. So
how much does it even cost to build it totally and entirely
both modular and what have
and
you, refinery. So there's a huge, in fact, the NNPC has become a very big drain pipe. Huge fraud going on in that place.
The
and
Messiah,
practically every government have always used the NNPC as a means of siphoning money.
well, the Messiah is coming soon. The Dangote refineries, that is what everyone is waiting for. In fact, the whole of West Africa is waiting for Dangote
that
refineries.
it was one of the
Africa
reasons
indeed.
why the government and the NNPC, the GMB and the rest of them were so confident that by 2018,
2019.
They will be able to take care of the fuel challenges in the country. But I doubt if that will actually solve the problem.
In the meantime, the governors are saying that the NNPC over time has not sent back about 17 to 24% of the earnings so far.
A very huge drain pipe. It's a fraud indeed.
But Baru doesn't think so. The GMD of NNPC.
Think so?
He feels that the NNPC, as a matter of fact, is one of the most transparent.
Baru is a beneficiary. He can never see anything wrong with it. But he knows that he has been paying subsidy that is illegal. So to who? How do you justify that? In fact, it's a huge fraud. I expected that by now Baru should be in detention. Yes.
Well, but there hasn't been any substantiated allegations.
Substantiation. You brought fuel as also Amada. You are giving it at this amount. The difference is so clear. How did you get the money? Where from? Whose money? Or is the NNPC Baru's
all right?
To answer?
There's so much questions for the NNPC. I must say. Is that okay? Let's get to the Vanguard newspaper now. Well, the issue with Saraki and the IG of police has been on the papers today all through. And certainly we'll look forward to seeing how it can be resolved. Now we have on the Exazaki, Amil move against Shites. If there's a condition there, a Guards Brigade commander, his whereabouts unknown. Now the point there is they were planning for a mega protest in Abuja, and then eventually Exazaki was moved to Kaduna for his court hearing. So I guess at this time around, this will douse the tension from the protesters now.
Well, I doubt it. Well, maybe to some extent, but they are not actually asking just to have a site on Ezag. They want him released. And as a matter of fact, court has actually granted him bail. So why should the army, is it the responsibility of the army to actually detain people? So what kind of lawless country are we in? We ought to follow due process. We ought to follow law. They must equally recognize that it is not because they are very strong. It is because the law has empowered them to carry arms. Should everybody carry those same arms, some of those men in the military will be brought down by Nigeria.
And that is why Serap has written the UN to call this administration to order.
Honestly,
and when you think of it, the president himself actually complained, it was all over the papers yesterday, that he was detained for 3 years because he was fighting corruption. Now, how about that?
So how did he see it? How did he see it? Was it the detention? Was it by the army? Was it this kind of detention? Even when he was detained, maybe through the normal legal process, he felt bad about it.
But even
how do you feel that you are being detained in a manner that is not known to law? So how do you feel?
Well, all the time of detention he's talking about, certainly he was under military regime. So
yeah, but it wasn't that the army arrested and detained him. Are you getting it? No, but this one is a case of the army now becoming the one arresting and perhaps even prosecuting.
Yeah. Some say we're in a dictatorial democracy.
Indeed, we are.
Okay.
Let's Benue killings. I'm prepared to step down. Shibajo is saying that. And the National Assembly passes 2018 budget. Yeah. And Ramadan begins today, says Sultan. And talks with insurgents, tortious, complicated. Federal government is saying over Leah Sharibu. And the court stops police, EFCC, DSS from searching Wike's residence. We've talked about that. And invest looted funds in agriculture. Governor Bello tells Buhari.
That would make sense.
Well, that's what Nigerians have been saying all the while.
But it's not just agriculture that is suffering. A lot of sectors. What we should expect is that money should form part of the funds to fund the budget, and you should allocate the resources appropriately. And again, let the budget performance be up and doing.